Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. Sorry I've been a little bit quiet, but I've had an absolutely interesting weekend, and it came with a roller coaster of emotions and anxiety, mental health fueled carnage this weekend. So, but it gave me so much to talk about. At the same time, I had to get over the weekend, so to speak. So basically, as you heard in my last podcast, I went away this weekend, with my best friend, and we went to Cardiff to go and see, sort of re-engage, I suppose you could put it, with a very good friend of mine, an old friend of mine, from my RAF days, and there was a couple of other people that had come along from the same sort of the same timeline in the RF as well. So, but I didn't know they were coming along, so it was a big surprise. So that was all booked. We were setting off on the Friday and staying there for the weekend. So massive amounts of emotions, right up from the build up to the weekend, to the actual weekend, and stuff I felt and massively put me out of my comfort zone, which is unusual. But yeah, just almost consumed me, if I'm honest. Coupled with seeing old friends, obviously comes the fun side of things. So there was the consumption of many boozes, and of course, a lot of singing, dancing. Well, I've got a bit of a husky voice. If you'd heard me yesterday, and I'd done a podcast yesterday, you wouldn't have. Well, I didn't even know who I was. I was disgusted with myself. But yeah, it was really good. So that was the whole setup. So I'll just give you a quick insight there. So yeah, we set off. Basically, we went off to Cardiff. Now, right up from the build-up of this, just as where I want to sort of kind of start, really, is the whole build-up, the anxiety that I went through again. And we spoke about this a few podcasts ago, how I'd organised to go out on a Friday and I didn't end up going out because of, I don't know, just a sort of social interaction, or, just a build-up of anxiety, which is really unusual to get it in sort of belts like that, So it took me by surprise. So acknowledging what had happened previously about a month before, which I still have to address, because the person I let down for that night has got back in touch with me, and I need to make the effort, because I don't want to be that. I don't want to make him feel like he's low on my priority list. He's not. It's just logistically and a few things, and I've just put my priorities in the wrong place. So I need to re-engage with him. But conscious of what had happened that time, I didn't want to be I didn't want to allow those inner thoughts to consume me so much that I cancelled the weekend. And I've been predictable to being like that, and even to the point where I spoke to the friend that I was going down to, and he genuinely thought I was going to cancel, because I've cancelled so many times before and just chinned it off, and it's difficult with mental health for people to understand that, because they don't see the negativity, that sort of promotes in as an inner person, let alone for them. And like I said, when that situation happens, I said in the podcast, there's no winner in that situation, because you're fighting the anxiety, and they've now been let down, and they might have needed that company. So no winner is in that. But the unfortunate bit with mental health is, I'm very selfish in that sense. Or when you have mental health problems, you are very selfish. So you don't really think about the consequences. You just go, I'm just not going to do it. You don't think about the repercussions for them. And that's where, unfortunately, when you've got mental health conditions, you lose a lot of friends. And, as I always go on about, is these friendship bubbles that we create are so important. And mental health, unfortunately, controls that so much. And it's only the true friends that you find at the end when you're getting better and you're acknowledging getting better, and you follow these, some of these tips that I've been giving you. You follow some of those and you do them, and you might find something that works better for you. But when you ultimately get to the point where you're getting better, that is when you start seeing the true friends that are around you, the ones that have actually got back in touch with you. And that's what this weekend was about. I didn't want to let this person down, and conscious that I've already let someone else down. I've gone to the point where I need to make that better, so I'm going to make that better. But this one, I didn't want to, this has been planned. This was, for a good couple of months. And, it's his 40th birthday. It wasn't just like a random night out. This was a big event for him. So I wanted to be part of that weekend. Because, ironically, the last time we went out together as mates and partied was his 30th in Reading. So I was conscious of that timeline. That's 10-year timeline. And we haven't really spoke properly for about 2 years. My mental health has just got me to the point where, and this is where I'll build up as well into this, but I basically became a bit of a dick. And I lost touch with him. And even though you build up to that and you understand all that, I was conscious I didn't want to let him down. But he asked me the night before, what time you come in? And beers, buddy, at 4 o'clock. There was like these little messages that were coming in the afternoon. And I didn't reply because we were driving down, and I was talking to my mate as we were driving down. And I was like, he's fine. And then I'm conscious that he's probably thinking I'm letting him down again. And because I haven't replied, which is what I do, I ignore the message until, you see on the fucking timeline, 1 year ago. You think, shit, now I should have replied to that. I'm conscious of that, and for me personally, that's what I've been doing. So his expectations were, realistic in past experiences with me. So I instantly texted him saying, screenshot of Google Maps, and was like, fucking boom, mate, we are en route, slight behind. And the delay was, my mate that was driving us down, he couldn't get away from work. So it's a simple mistake, of me not telling him. So but because we were rushing, he was late, he couldn't get away from work, really busy. So, because I knew I was going, I didn't want to put too much pressure on me and the whole situation. I just wanted to get there without any worries and just enjoy the weekend, because I'm constantly trying to fight this thing to stop letting people down and actually enjoy social occasions. And, there's been no bad blood between me and him at all. And I genuinely mean there is no bad blood at all. So it was just, we lost touch because of me, not him, because he invited me out loads of times. And I just chinned him off. So it was me that caused the friendship to break down. And when I re-engaged with him, said, what are you up to, buddy? I don't know. I think this podcast actually, was what sparked it. I was dealing with this, and I thought, there's some people I want to re-engage with, and I was going to make the effort. And out of the blue, I messaged him, and I just said, all right, buddy, conscious I haven't spoken to you in a long time, and because I was off Facebook and all this sort of shit, I didn't want to, there's nothing really that I could do. So I was conscious that, I didn't want to let him down. So it was all because of me. It was all my wrongdoing, really. So, and the way you deal things in mental health can crush you. It consumes you, but like you said, you never think about the repercussions. So I didn't want to barrage him and just go, like I normally would, because I didn't want the pressure on me, and that was a bit of a selfish thing to do. But I wanted to ensure that I followed through on the weekend. And I got there, and in fact. Yeah, I got there, and then basically we arrived. It was a nice, easy, relaxed moment. I rung my mate and was like, "Dude, where are you?" He said I was ringing the doorbell. No, ring the doorbell, and he was on the ring talking to me. Sorry, not the phone, but it is on communication. And he was talking to me. He said, "Oh, dude, I've left the key round the back. Just go in, make yourself at home, pour yourself a drink." Which is really nice. So I was walking in his house and we're just looking around. It was a really, really, he's done well for himself and then really looked after his house, really maximised his space. And it was just lovely, and he came through the door, and I haven't seen him, like I said, for a good couple of years. And just instantly, like, bang on, like really just chatting, just straight back into it. And it was that reality that, you know, he's that good a friend. It's almost like it didn't. And we didn't even acknowledge the fact that it had been ages. We just literally, everything was just nice, mate. Showed me around the house. He was really house proud. You know, he put us up in his house for the weekend again, and also bringing my mate up, which he didn't massively know my mate as much, Kieran. But Kieran and him have spoken a few times in work and stuff like that. So he sort of knew him on a professional level, shall we say. But Kieran's really easygoing anyway. So, you know, I knew, like we said, we actually were chatting about this actually in the night, on the first night, because him and his girlfriend were there, Maz. And she was sort of saying, I can't understand how you can not talk for 2 years, 5 years, but you're all sat around here, literally like, you know, you see each other every weekend. And I was like, well, that's just good friendship, you know? So she was like, I didn't even know who you were till, you know, Tag told me a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, oh, really? She was like, and then we were discussing it. And I was like, well, if my mate, she was saying, if her mate doesn't talk to her for like 6-7 days or whatever, you know, a week, she literally, they think they're in like a tiff with each other. And I was like, no, seriously, I'm not like that at all. And I don't think any blokes are like that, to be honest. We don't need that attention, I call it. Like I said, I talk to the ones that I would talk to regular. We have different levels of friends, don't we? So I know for a fact that that's what I mean. I might not see my mate Tag, and I've chinned him off. As I said, I've been the dick in this friendship, and on the back of this podcast, I just went, I'm gonna re-engage with him. So I re-engaged with him. Like that's what he said. We organised it, and we decided to sort of meet up. And I was meant to be doing something this weekend anyway with Kieran, and we were going to go camping and something like that, and just have a sort of kind of a bit of a boozy Friday and Saturday, just chilling out, you know, just sort of enjoying each other's company and having good chat, you know, sort of kind of reminisce and all the good stuff you do as you get old as fuck. So yeah, so I, you know, just conscious of all that, just wanted to be part of this whole weekend, just wanted to be engaged with this and just get over my own barriers. And like I said, we were chatting to Maz and we were sat down, and she just couldn't understand it. And I was like, no, this is like just friendship. And we didn't acknowledge anything till the following day, because Friday was just a quiet night, really. It was just a couple of beers. I say that, but not for them lot. I went to bed early. I was quite sensible because I didn't want to ruin the big event, which the thing is with me, when I get into social situations like that, because I don't go out a lot and I deal with a lot of pressure and anxiety in my own self, and I have done for like 10 years, for that situation, when I do get into those situations where I feel relaxed, comfortable and enjoying the company, you know, I go over the top. You know, I'll be fucking boshing down drinks, getting absolutely pissed, and it'll ruin the next day completely. So I was conscious of that. So I was like, they were all going to pour, they did. They poured out the port, and I was like, I'm not fucking drinking port, mate. I'm literally, I've had like 3 gins, I'm fucking going to bed. And they were like, what? I said, and I looked at him, and mate, I'm fucking 40, mate. When I want to go to bed, I'm going to fucking bed. And he looked at me and smiled as if to say, yeah, I'm not going to fucking even argue with mate, because, you know, I'm not 18 anymore. And so the sensible factor was, you know, they were all hungover the next day for the big event, and I was fresh as a daisy, you know. So yeah, just marched our way into town, and the big event, i.e., was his 40th birthday. It was on a Saturday. We were meeting all sorts. His partner organised a surprise from some really good old friends, and for him. So, you know, I met an absolute plethora of people, and it was a really good occasion, you know. But so it was nice and relaxed, you know, trying to keep it sensible. And I did get sort of, I was meeting his other friends, and it actually turns out that one of the guys I met on that night knows a guy that I engaged with here. I'd just done a live podcast with him, Billy, and he sort of knew Billy, and I was like, fuck it. So we had like, you know, something in common. He was ex-forces. We were all ex-forces. All of us in that room were ex-forces, and serving forces, apart from obviously my mate Kieran. So you have that natural ability to get over hurdles quite quickly. It's not like I've been in socially awkward situations where I've sort of sat in with civilians, and I think the reason I say civilians and military still like in this context is because there's such a difference in how you engage with those people and how you engage with military people and how you engage with you know, sort of civilian people. There's such such an amazing difference in the parties. It's unbelievable. And sometimes you get a cross mix of those people, and that can be a volatile situation. And so I already knew that I got over the hurdle of having sort of because I did ask Tag before I was going, who's coming. He told me who was staying there for the weekend. There was another guy, two guys with us. One was RAF, one was Army Air Corps. And they were staying, so we doubled up. So he had like 3 double beds. So obviously him and his girlfriend in one, in their normal one, and because me and Kieran knew each other, obviously, so we shared double bed, and the other guys shared the other double bed. So it was nice and cozy, all together. No, the thing is, like I said, you got to remember we're dealing with military personnel. We are used to being chucked into a room. And, you just get on with it and deal with whatever situation. And having a bed is a luxury in some cases. Not so much for the RAF. I live in a hotel. But I've heard stories of people that have endured these troubles. I'm trying to play this down, but it's a bit difficult. Please take the baggage. 113, please. Sorry. So, I got over that social side, that social risk that sometimes when you go to those parties, that's when it gets a bit awkward. And the reason it gets awkward is because when you go into a military party, there is no line. And what I mean by that is there's nothing that, military men won't talk about. So we can be as outrageous as we like, and just have literally, no lines banter. And nothing offends us because we're just used to fucking getting shit all the way through your career. So, it's water off a duck's back. And if you're in the same group with the same characters, same style of characters, you bounce off of each other. Sometimes that can clash, Had a couple of little escapades with one of the gentlemen at the party. He was a bit rambunctious, flicking my nuts, which upset me. But I think he was just playing to the crowd and thought it would be funny. But the couple of guys there were laughing and saying, well, what have you just done? And I'd gone off to sort myself out, sit down on the fucking stairs and feel like, my stomach was turning. I was in absolute agony. It was just getting worse and worse and worse. That flicking, when you catch your nutsack on something or, whatever, and you flick a part of the testicular region, and that fucking pain just hits you and it comes out your ears, nose, and stomach feels like it wants to wrench. Well, I had that, and it was a build-up because it was a flick, but it was a nail, on the bottom of the sack, sorry. And anyway, I walked off, sorted myself out, and the other guy, Tag and Kieran, was stood there, and Tag was like, my mate was like, oh, fucking hell, where's James? He said, he'd have fucking knocked you out 10 years ago, mate. I wasn't like that. They started, I'm older, I'm wiser, and I'm slower. But it did add a little dynamic to the party, and I think he was just sort of we were similar personalities, and we were both loud. So I think we were battling, that kind of thing, trying to be who's going to be the biggest clown of the group, sort of thing. I think that's pretty much what it fell down to. I won, obviously, and Steph will know that. So get back in your box, bud. But because you've got that connection, I already knew. I've been to social occasions where it's just been civilians, and that's probably, I think, now I think about that, it's probably one of the reasons I was a bit, had a bit of extra anxiety on the last occasion because, going out into a social situation with someone I don't know, and also knowing what I'm like when I'm drunk, or when I'm drunk, I don't have that limit. It's because I don't go out that often. I kind of take off the, the handcuffs of life and drink and inhibitions and just having a good time with the company. So, and if you're in the right company, that's exacerbated by a million miles because, as you've probably heard over the past few podcasts, I've had some really awesome memories with people, and that's when you're with the right people. Excuse me. That's when you grow. That's what helps you to grow. But sometimes you hit a barrier, and yeah, we had the Friday night. We were into town, and this is kind of when I got my first little weird feeling. So Saturday morning was quite, we were sat down. We did start drinking quite early. I think it was 11:10 in the morning, and we were just slow pacing it. And all of a sudden, when we came to go, I started to feel a bit queasy, a bit sick. I was feeling a bit like I started massively overheating. I was sweating. And then we put a little march on. I say march, because their fucking pace was military. And I've been out a long time. So, I don't walk that fucking fast anymore. I'm quite lazy. I was sat there going, why am I walking 15 minutes to the train station when we should have got a fucking taxi? So that was my argument. But that was because I just didn't want the pressure of overthinking it, I think. And I did. I was there and it just got worse and worse. And then the biggest problem then, this is when I realised again that this is when I got consumed massively. This is when the negativity to the weekend kicked in for me. And we got on the train and it was a busy train. Basically, we were going into Cardiff. And, it's a night out. But there was rugby on, there was football on, there was a 90s festival on, and it was just fucking manic. And I literally mean, we got on this train and we were one stop away from Cardiff. So, two stops. So it was one stop and then the next stop was Cardiff. 2 stops. Yeah, fucking sort it out, James. Still hungover. And yeah, so we were in the train, quite busy. Quite busy. Managed to stand up. We weren't on a seat. We were, like I say, because we were near the end, we were quite full. So I got into a space. I was feeling a bit of pressure. I was sweating because I started to overheat. I think my body was just reacting with the anxiety. And I was stood there holding onto this fucking post like, what the fuck's going on here? And I've been on a trains I've been on a train 2 or 3 times in the last 6 months. So it's never really bothered me, but I've always been on the start of the train journey and I've had a seat and I've been able to be comfortable and I've been able to be relaxed. And obviously when you're in a rammed train, I mean, literally, I must caveat a little subject to this, is the fact that what the fuck are we doing that rammed close to each other when COVID's still fucking about? Crazy shit, man. That was, my first thought was, fucking COVID, mate. You couldn't get one person on a train, 6 months ago. Now we're all fucking literally sweating, beading up everywhere. Do you know what I mean? No ventilation, no fuck all. It was ridiculous. And anyway, so I started to get a build up, a little bit of pressure. Tags, Mrs. Maz, she's a very, very intelligent, qualified doctor, was sat there. She was actually a bit worried about me. Started going a bit pale. She was like, "You're right." I said, "No, I just don't want to be here for some reason." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she pulled out this bottle of Lucozade and she was trying to cool down the side of my neck. And she was like, just acknowledging I was sweating. And also I was conscious that I was sweating. And I didn't know whether everyone would think I might have fucking COVID. And I was like, I haven't. This is a fucking full-on panic attack. But it got worse. So I'm sat there just really trying to control my breathing. The guy behind me is fucking like about 6 inches from the back of my neck, feeling my sweat and heat. I'm fucking radiating, literally like a fucking, cranked up to hot. I had a jumper on as well because it was a sort of wide knitted style jumper. Which is going to bring its own little story in a minute. And, it was quite cool, but at the same time acknowledging the jumper. But remembering we aren't quite into summer yet, so evenings do get a bit chilly. So, yeah, I started getting a bit packed. We pull up, right? And then all of a sudden they open the fucking doors and then, there's about 10 people at the front of this door waiting to get on. And I literally went, I don't know where the fuck you think you're going, mate, but there's no space in here. Oh, no. Oh, fucking wanker 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6 came fucking rushing in and then started to walk down past me to where the seats are as if oh, no, yeah, do you know what? There's seats round there, mate. I just couldn't be fucking asked to sit down. I thought I'd stand by the door. Sweating my fucking bollocks off, mate. Like a fucking sardine in a can. I thought that, mate. What a penis. So, of course, that's how I felt about this. This is the build-up of pressure that I'm feeling. So, and then all of a sudden, because they've all gone, like a fucking, fucking traffic jam. I'm like, and then they just stop dead. And then they look at me as if to say, "Oh, hello, sir. Are you going to magic me some space?" "Oh, yes, dear. Let me pull some space out of my fucking arse." Do you know what I mean? And that's what it was like. So I looked there, and then I was like, right, wow, okay. How long might... So I looked at Tag, and I went, "Oh, all right, mate. How long do we have left, sir? Because you said this was a 2-minute train journey. I've been on 14 minutes, sir." And he looked at me, and he went, "Oh, 1 stop, mate. Next stop's Cardiff." That's not the fucking question I asked you, mate. The question I asked you was, what is the average time from this stop to the next stop where we'd be getting off? And he looked at me and went, 5 to 8 minutes, I think. And so of course, naturally, I'm sat here going, right, okay, fuck this. So I'm getting hotter and hotter. And I'm looking around, and a couple of my mates are looking at me like, are you fucking okay? And I thought that they were. I actually found out a little bit about that situation afterwards. I'll talk to you, don't worry. We will get there. And, so we were sat there, and they were looking at me, I was looking at them, and they were looking at me going, "Who say something?" I was like, "I didn't say fuck all, mate." But because the only thing you're going to hear come out of my mouth, mate, is move. That's all you're going to fucking hear. So, and then we pull up to the platform. Because it's quite busy, the first train hadn't unloaded yet. So we were waiting to come in. Oh, fucking spectacular, mate. So I'm sat there, right? So it was an 8-minute train journey with that feeling. Then I'm sat on the platform and I looked at Tag and I went, "Tag, this is going to be an early night." And he went, "Why?" I said, "Because I need to get off this fucking train right now." And he was like, "What?" I said, "I'm going to press the emergency stop and I'm going to fucking step out because I do not want to be here." And he just looked at me because, I looked at him with dead eye, like literally dead eye. I was like, "I need to get off now, mate." And then Maz said, "Oh, we'll move in a minute." And then the train started. I'm not even kidding. She said, "I should have said that earlier." This is not the time for fucking wit and comedy. We will get to that point. We can laugh about it once we've analysed it. Right now, pipe down. I didn't say that. That's with my head. Friendly James went, "Ha ha 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 ha. Yes, at least we're moving." Anyway, so we get to the platform and then the guy next to me, now he must have seen I'm not in a very comfortable situation. He's slightly ahead of me by shoulder length, but he's a streak of piss in my eyes. That's how anxiety I was getting. And I was like, "Mate, so I don't know how to get out of this situation because I want to get out of this situation." So I kind of looked at him dead eye and slipped my shoulder in front of him to say, "You know what's happening here. This crowd's going to move and you're going to wait." And he just looked at me and looked away like to the left as if to say, "No, this guy needs to get off way more desperately than me." So I sort of moved out and then literally stood there and I'm not kidding you, I was pissing out with sweat. So that was my panic attack. And then I'm stood there and then everyone was like, "You all right?" I was like, yeah, fucking hell, mate. And I started talking about the story and they were like, "Mate, I really wanted to get off. That was a proper stressful situation." And out of the 6 men that were around me, 5 of them all felt this. And we're all like, wow, it just felt uncomfortable. I don't know whether it's the dealings of the pandemic. You're thinking about, the situation. You're looking around. There's no masks because it's still there. And I'm not saying let's be cautious of it like that. I love the fact that we're getting back to that normality, but there is still a pressure. It was an undue pressure. I'd never felt that before. I've been on trains before. I've been on trains recently, so I'd never felt it. But yes, it just got a bit of social anxiety with that. And anyway, so, we move on. And, we get round the corner and we get into the first pub. And as soon as I walked in the first pub, it was fucking boiling. And I looked at everyone and I went, I've got to go and buy a shirt or something, man. I need to get this fucking jumper off. This is ridiculous. And they looked at me and went, "Wah." I said, "Yeah, I'm just going to go to the toilet." And anyway, Kieran, you wasn't going to do my mate. He was like, "You're going to go and buy a shirt, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was, "I'll come with you, buddy." So we walked round at the other side of Cardiff and, excuse me while I take a little sip of the drink. Just wet the whistle. So he knew what I was doing. He said, "You're not comfortable, are you?" He said, "No." He said, "I knew you wouldn't be comfortable because everyone was wearing shirts. It was light. It was still warm. It was a good day." So, and I was in a fucking jumper, prepared for the evening, not prepared for, bearing in mind this is 1:00 in the afternoon. So it was more of a day drinking session than an all-nighter. You normally go out about, 6-ish, 7-ish and drink till, 3, 4 in the morning. I think Cardiff's open till 5:30 in the morning or something like that. And there's another place you can go where it starts at 5:30 in the morning. So you can go from one place to another. I can't remember what it's called. It's so called something anyway. Someone will probably say. Anyway, so, it's party season. So he was sitting there. We walked off, just took a nice little jaunt. Not a pressure though. There was like too many shops. I didn't know what I wanted. And it was all like, I'm going to go into Vans. And Kieran was like, "Why are you going into Vans?" I just thought of like skaters wearing t-shirts with a shirt outside, like a lumberjacky one, which happened to be what Kieran was wearing, but I didn't acknowledge Kieran was wearing it. I just had that vision, that's how confused I was. So, yeah, we walked into this place, and Kieran looked at me and went, I said, no shirts in there, Kieran. He went, no, and it's skaters, and you're not a fucking skater, mate. Literally, like, I don't think he realised what I was doing. So then he went, what about Hugo Boss? And instantly I went, no, you're just fucking wasting money. And all of a sudden TK Maxx came in. No, we walked into this other shop, actually. I can't remember what it's called. Other shops are included, I think. But we walked into this other shop. I can't remember, but it's all like Urban something. I think it might even just be called Urban. Walked into there, and it was fucking chaos. It felt like chaos. I mean, that's how unpredictable I was. I was walking around, and I was like, Kieran was like, what about this one? And I just, because I couldn't see them on a rack in different, because normally they come in like a rack, and, you got your different sizes. So they didn't have that. They just had like a shirt. You pulled it out if you liked it, and it was large, or whatever size you wanted, and it was the size you wanted. You Billy bonus, but I don't work like that. I see a fucking style I like, I'm going to choose the size I like. So you have a couple of each in a rack. This is fucking chaos, mate. I walked in, and I walked around, and Kieran was like, what about this one? And I picked it up and went, oh, it's fucking lovely, mate, yeah. If I'm fucking skinny, it was like a small. He was like, well, where's the other one? I was like, well, sir, that is an interesting question, isn't it? That's how I started. I walked around. And this is when I started to get another build-up of this fucking anxiety. And I was walking around, to the point where I was walking down the shop going, this is a fucking shit shop. And I was venting. I was angry. I just wanted someone to hear my fucking frustration. And I was like, wow, okay. I walked out and I started breathing, and then we walked. I said, look, TK Maxx is there. Go straight to the fucking top. They're sensible shops. They got this shit. So we walked up, and Kieran went, what about this one? No, I went, oh, what about this one? And I saw it, and Kieran was like, yeah, that's not bad. He goes, well, what about this one? And I went, yes, that is fucking perfect. So, anyway, we paid. We walked right down the end of the elevator, it's the bottom one where it said the pay zone, and this guy come up and says to me, because there's a big queue, massive queue, and I was like, fuck, there's a big queue. And the guy goes, oh, there's another cash point upstairs, mate, and there's no one there. And I went, if I walk up there, mate, Kieran went, let's go. So I walked up. Yeah, there was. He did a good job. So, yeah, got this shirt, walked straight out, took the fucking tags off, and I started to try and rip my top because I'm a bit vain. I'd done my hair perfect. It was held in place with fucking hairspray. I looked the bollocks in my eyes. So I didn't want to ruffle my hair up. Normally I don't care. Like, literally, I walk around with it fluffy now. I don't really care. But when I go out, I wanted to feel fucking special. I've made it this far. For me, it was an achievement. I've made it. You're out now, mate. You've done a night. You've had a good night's sleep. You've had fucking banter. And you're out in a social situation that you haven't been for a long fucking time. So I was like, whoo! And you're gauging people all the time. So anyway, I was ripping off. I don't want to ruin my hair. So Kieran was like, you're ripping off. So I'm fucking making this. He was like, mate, what about your jumper? And it was a really nice jumper. Everybody complimented the jumper. They were like, I want that jumper. That's really nice. Where'd you get it from? And I went and, so I just want to get it off and put the shirt on. So I ripped it open and then put it over. And Kieran just looked at me and laughed. And, and I put the shirt on. And I walked over to the bin and I fucking binned the jumper. Like a absolute fucking Looney Tune. Just go, yeah, fuck it. It's only money. You absolute buffoon. So, but I didn't think of that. I just felt comfortable in his shirt. It looked amazing. And to fast forward a little bit, it got so many compliments that t-shirt that people just wanted to know where I got it from. I was like, TK fucking Maxx, mate. It was 20 quid. Do you know what I mean? They fucking loved it. It was a real floral number, but it was like mustardy and yellows, and it's a fucking delightful little top. And anyway, so I felt good. I said to Kieran, do I look good? He goes, do you feel good? I said, do I fucking look good? He's like, yeah, I just want to hear it. I'm like a fucking girl. I shouldn't say it, but, they need that reinforcement from their friends, probably more than men do, we don't, but I'm a bit like that. I like to know, and I know that Kieran's honest, So, anyway, we went round. I felt comfortable, walked in. Everyone went, oh, where the fuck have you been? They didn't believe me that I was going to go and get this shirt. I was like, got a new shirt, mate. They were like, well, where's your jumper? I was like, I put it in the bin. Everybody said, what the fuck? Like, literally, I bounced around, and the story went round like fucking, you could watch it, like the rumours go from bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, as people were talking, because it was quite noisy, and I watched it, and it got around to the last one, and I went, yes, I fucking threw it in the bin, mate. And I'm here, and I'm happy, so I do not give a shit. And they went, what? I said, because I nearly went home, so look at that. And they all just looked at me and went, fuck, as if they play that down. This guy's a crazy bastard. Anyway, so then the night went on, and do you know what? It was absolutely fucking amazing. I didn't stop laughing. I met about 7 or 8 really, really nice people. These aren't people you'll see ever. If, again, probably, I might go up if they, there's another big event with tag, so, but probably quite rare. So for me, I just made the most of it, and it was really, really, really good. It was just a kind of relaxed atmosphere. Everybody was having banter. Everybody thought I was off my fucking head, because I normally am. I just get, absolutely bonkers. And I just relax, and it's nice to feel like you've got, you're sort of kind of loose with your inhibitions, just having a laugh, dancing, not really giving a fuck what you look. And I got compliments on the beard. I got compliments on, the shirt. And it was just there was no hostility in anyone in the group. Sometimes you go into a big group, bearing in mind we started off with, 6 of us, walking into to meet another, I think 12. It's a big group. It's a big group. So, a lot can get lost, and people can kind of sort of lose control a little bit. And it only takes one person in a group then to completely change the dynamic. So, but the thing is, it was such a diverse group of people. There was, I think the youngest was 33. The oldest was one of the guys' dads who comes out and parties. He was an absolute fucking legend. Absolute gold. Most relaxed fucking guy you'll ever meet. And I was chatting away to him about stuff. He was proud of his son, who I knew. I'd served alongside his son, and he's left the Air Force now, and he works over in Amsterdam. So he was like really proud of what his son had done. And I was talking to him about the military aspect. He doesn't really understand it, but he's just proud of what his son's done. So, and I was sort of talking, and it was the conversation was, quite, massively different to what you would expect, with a sort of old age group. And everybody, I think, just sort of kind of chilled out because of that. Because obviously his mum was there as well. And she's absolute fucking legend, gold. She loves all of them. Treated them all like kids, because they've all grown up together. All these people did. Some of them joined the Air Force together. Some of them did other things. But they've all come back to Cardiff, and they've stayed in their little group. So, I met them, and I was talking about them, and it was just a really nice dynamic group, and it wasn't, I didn't look at it, if I wanted to look at it from a mental health perspective, to chuck a little aspect of that in, I'd probably say I didn't look at it as a friendship building exercise, if you like. It wasn't about that. It was enjoying the moment, and that's what I said, living in the moment. And I wanted to do that as much as I can. So I've battled like such an amount of anxiety, to get to go out. But for once, I actually felt normal. Like I wanted it again. There was no pressure. It was just fun. And, I actually was like straight away, even with, the fallout of that, the hangover. But, we all left together. We all got in a taxi together. It was just a real good friendship. We went back, Kieran was obviously the sensible one, because he was driving us back, so he went to bed. Because, we left at, I think, 11:30 we left. So that's normally when town starts getting busy, and as you looked around, there was queues everywhere. And, a little finisher there, actually, for the night. And yeah, and we left, I forgot about this little bit. It's quite funny, because I can talk about it, because I walked away from the situation, but I diffused it. So this was a really pivotal moment, actually, in how I deal with situations. And believe it or not, the situation actually got calmed down by a guy called Michael. And this is actually his own little interesting story on its own. So Michael, just remember Michael. So we were leaving the club. We were all happy as Larry. We were just going to get food. I said, everyone's like, I don't give a fuck, someone's to get food. Realising that none of us had eaten all day. So that was another thing. So we were all just pure drinking. Anyway, so we were leaving, all happy as Larry. And walked past this little group, and I hadn't said anything. I was in my own bubble because I was happy. I was really happy. I wasn't smash drunk. I'd had 3 or 4 gins, a couple of cocktails, but it was just a really happy drunk. I wasn't mixing drinks. I wasn't, even the cocktails stayed on the par with the gin theme, so I didn't mix different drinks. I didn't have lager. I completely avoided lager, all aspects of lager. And the only thing I did have was an orange tequila. I don't know why. It was fucking weird. Someone bought me an orange tequila. Boshed that back. That's the only thing I did. But celebrations of a shot for the birthday. Anyway, so, I was in a happy mood. I'm realising actually now that gin is a very, very nice drink for me. It just keeps me happy and hydrated. And, so I was walking down and I walked past. I didn't even acknowledge it, actually. I couldn't even tell you what inspired him to do this. But a guy grabbed my fucking hair and pulled me down. Now, pulled me aside, yanked my hair like a fucking girl would do in a girl, cat fight. Anyway, I was a bit stunned. And as I looked to the left, there's 7 coppers dealing with this guy. So it was kicking off. That's how happy I was. I genuinely didn't even know what the fuck was going on. And I looked across and he looked at me he looked at me through, what looked like, I can only describe it of, his teeth almost looked like a council estate in the sense it's got a wheelie bin in every yard. They were after a fucking storm, and they were all in different directions. Fucking horrendous. So naturally I smiled and thought, I'm just going to go for the insult rather than the fight here. I don't want to fight someone. So I was a bit shocked though as well. He ripped my hair and I didn't know what I'd done. Even Kieran went, what the fuck? And I went, I don't know, mate. And I didn't process it quick enough. Probably the drink. But normally I don't have to process. Normally I'm just a fucking action guy. So he was stood there and then his mate was piping off. And he had his really shit beard. And I mean the shittest beard I've ever seen. I mean, it almost looks like someone had, put a bit of PVA glue on his face in certain spots and just threw some pubes from about fucking 3 foot away. And what stuck was his beard. So I instantly had the upper hand because I've got a fucking sterling beard. So I looked at him and I went, right, you sort your fucking teeth out, you Jeremy Carr motherfucker. And then I looked at the other one and went, don't say a word. You've got a shit beard. Now that is an insult to somebody who's trying to grow a beard. And he looked at me and you can't say anything. There's nothing you can say about this. He's not going to... I mean, I don't know what insult you're going to come at. I've got a fucking nice shirt on. I'm wearing nice jeans. I've got Timberland boots. I feel good. Hair's on point. Beard's on point. Yeah, okay. And I've got some really nice tattoos. So, I don't know. You can try and chuck some insults at me. Say, I'm an ugly bastard. And I'll go, okay, oh, God. So I don't... I'm confident at this ability. So, nice. It's a gin-fueled confidence. But anyway... They walked off as if to say, well, I didn't fucking hit him, so they're not going to get the fight they probably wanted. And then fucking gear. So they walked off, and then I turned around and I went, oh God. And this is when, sober James had obviously cut in because obviously the adrenaline was now coursing through. And we all know how little James feels about adrenaline, the drug of fucking choice. The potent potion of life that runs and courses through my veins, makes me excited. So, naturally, the adrenaline's taken over, and adrenaline is making James confident. So I walked off, and I thought all I had in my mind was, again, this is the mental health journey. All I had in my mind was I want to just slap him, open hand slap him, really insult him. But it's not just an overhand slap because I'm quite big hands, but conscious that I'm building a better life. The implications of that was in the forefront of my mind up for a flash. And I just kind of like, I was bouncing around with all this thing thinking, right, I've got an amazing life, James. You're really building yourself up. What the fuck are you doing? It's done and dusted. Kieran, my best mate, was beside me saying, James, just fucking leave him alone, please. Just leave it. He's gone. He's done. Let's go and get some food. You know, let's sort this out. And he's trying to calm me down. Anyway, not calm me down. I don't mean this. I'm conscious that how this can be perceived when you talk about it, but it's not like that. It's not like a fucking flash of rage, uncontrollable rage. You know, this isn't something that sparked me. You know, this is somebody who ripped my hair out. And, you know, and it's taken a while to process that. Anyway, so I started to, you know, we were getting, and Kieran was like, Kieran was like, fucking hell, sort it out, James. You don't need this. You've had a really good night. Don't spoil the night for you. You're going to be the only loser in this situation. And I went, fucking right, mate. What am I doing? You know, this is your first occasion you've gone out. Don't spoil this with this childish shit. But, do you know this? The key factor, the little key factor in this was, this guy called Michael came up to me. And he went, hi, James. Because he'd obviously listened to the conversation. He's quite tall. And he went, don't do this, mate. He said, what? He said, you didn't want to do this. I've just watched the situation. And this is how polite he was. I've just watched the situation, mate. There's no need to do anything about it. This is just undue stress that you look like you don't want and don't need. And I took a big sigh and I went, yeah. He went, as your friend just said, you've got a lot to lose. You've enjoyed it. Go home. Be happy. And I looked at him. This is what he said, because I remember it to the point. I looked at him. I said, you're an amazing guy. He said, our paths may never cross again, but we will remember this occasion. And I went, that's fucking deep, mate. Fucking wow. But what a nice guy. Even Kieran was like blown away. So anyway, it diffused. And we went off and we went to McDonald's and had ordered a load of food, too much food. And then they went to another chicken shop to get more chicken. We went and got in a taxi. It was ironic, actually, that I left while we were coming out, I saw the same guy. You know, I recognised him from his beautiful teeth. I said, oh, fucking hell, he stands up in the crowd with them veneers. So I recognised him and went, where's he going? And he walked up and he just fucking slapped this guy in the back of the head. I thought, he literally wants a fight. This guy doesn't care who it is. He just wants to be punched in the mouth. And I'm then getting the story of why his teeth are missing. So subconsciously, this guy has had a very, very poor upbringing. And I can also interject with a little bit of, it's quite a sad occasion, actually. And it was that reason, there where I realised he was doing his own thing for his own pains. He thinks this is what he wants. Maybe he's not looking for the fight. Maybe he's trying to challenge himself. Maybe he likes to get hurt in the sense that it takes away his pain. You know, we deal with, self-harming all the time and things like that. You know, we've got a real pandemic with that. I've got a bloody daughter that I'm dealing with that tried. And, you know, it's a shit time. And he may be going through his own journey. And it was really weird how so much emotion happened in one weekend. That even at the end, when I'm analysing it and I'm stood there knowing I've got a fucking belly full of hot and spicy chicken sandwich and fries, that I'm looking going, this could be a completely different scenario. And 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it would have been a different scenario. That would have been me probably arrested. That would have been me. I didn't care. I just didn't. That's why I stopped going out, because I didn't care about those. People just pissed me off. Probably because I felt like I was looking to be pissed off. And I wasn't like that. I said hello to everybody that night. I spoke to people. I just had a good time. You know, I had fun. And it was nice to feel real again. And despite all of it, it was just a blinding time. And I anyway. So I'm sat there and I'm eating this and I'm looking at this guy going, and instantly I think about this. Maybe he's got his own demons that he's battling with, and he just doesn't have anybody to help him. Doesn't have anyone to listen to. Maybe he doesn't have that home to go to. I don't know. You know, maybe he's, I don't know, fighting to make his dad proud because he's dragged up. I don't know. There's so many stories that went through my head. And when I saw him slap that guy in the back of the head, who was quite a big guy, I looked and went, well, the guy didn't do anything wrong, and you slapped him in the back of the head. He's clearly bigger than you. So either you're massively overconfident, and I can also play devil's advocate on this and go, maybe he was on drugs, because, you know, that happens a lot, especially in big cities. Maybe he was on drugs and just didn't know what his limit was. I don't know. There's so many different scenarios. But I looked for the sympathetic side of things, and I looked and gone, well, but in all of those scenarios, you don't automatically normally go to the biggest person unless you're really, really confident, or, you know, you're in a situation where you go, if I take the biggest one out, then hopefully they'll all realise how hard I am. I'm just playing it from a male perspective. So I just looked, and it was weird. It was just weird to see that. It was weird to have that whole chat, you know. It was weird to see it and actually analyse it. And, you know, it wasn't till yesterday. So then we came home, had a nice night. I drank way too much. In the end, you know, we carried on drinking till about, I think I went to bed at 5:30 in the morning. So we woke up and were out the house by 8:30 because Kieran was ready to go and he wanted to get home. So, you know, there was a couple of times driving home where windows were open and I was potentially going to be sick out the window. It was that rough. But, you know, it wasn't a bad hangover because the memories outweighed any fucking pain. And even to the point where while I was out, one of the conversations I had with Tag, hold on 2 seconds. So I'm just wetting the whistle. One of the conversations I did have, which was really, really nice actually, and it's what made me feel, again, that I'm re-engaging with someone that has given me instant reward. And this is where I talk about nurturing the right people. And we were talking away, and he said to me, I know you've struggled, James. He said, you know, I don't want you to ever struggle. He said, if I'd rather you rung me at 3:00 in the morning. And he said this. So unless he's listened to my podcast, I don't know. But he said that if you need to, I'd rather you rung me at 3:00 in the morning than sit there alone. And he said, I know we may not talk all the time, but I always know that you're a very good friend and you're hilarious. And I was like, mate, you're just a legend of a guy. And it was just not, and that coupled with, I wrote him a personal message on, because like I said, I removed everyone off Facebook, and he was one of them. I just felt unloved, and I felt I didn't have anyone around me, and that's what happens. I go to this point where they've not liked my stuff, they've not messaged me, not spoke to me, fucking don't like me, you know, sort of thing. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's proven right, because none of them, like I said, 100 and odd people, or whatever it was, 230, off my Facebook, and none of them have messaged me, and they've all got my numbers, and I haven't changed my number for the last 15 years. So everybody that's had my number will still have it unless they've got rid of me. So, and I've still got the people's numbers that I want to talk to. So, which includes a lot of people that I've removed off Facebook. So I sent him a personal message, and I said, mate, absolutely brilliant weekend. Catered for. Pizzas were on point, making pizzas. His girlfriend was an absolutely amazing host, felt welcomed. And I felt, when I walked through his front door, I felt like it was home. It felt that relaxing there. It was a really, really nice, he's done it perfectly. I say to him all weekend, you can tell you've got no kids, mate, because it was all, designer stuff. He had, I take the piss out of him actually, because I walked into his bathroom and he's got L'Oreal, like shower gel, the carbon stuff, which is quite expensive if you're a father of 3 children. So, I said to him, and I relate to another friend of mine, Billy, who does the same. Is absolute palace. And I look around going, fuck, I wish I wanted to be a bit like that. I walked around, I was like, mate, you've got, anyway, go back. He had 3 carbons there. So like almost 10 quid's worth of shower gel, L'Oreal face scrub, Sauvage aftershave in front of the mirror. And none of it was used. And I looked at him and went, You just got them for fucking show, mate. What the fuck? I can't afford that to use daily. You know what I mean? I'm on fucking £1 fucking Radox, mate. When it's on offer in fucking bargain bucket. And anyway, I took the piss out of them weekend because it is like that. It was nice. It was very, very luxury, very nice. Which would probably put you off a little bit if you were sort of walking into an environment. But like I said, he's not like that. He's a very good friend. We've got a lot of history. We've been out on a lot of parties together, and I've worked alongside him. I've sprayed stuff for him when I was a painter, and he's done a lot of my mechanics. Really helped me out, which is what made me feel a little bit of a dick actually. But I re-engaged him on Facebook and I sent him a message, and he just reinforced it, saying, "Mate, I'm going to sort out a summer barbecue. I'm really proud that and happy that you managed to make my big occasion." So again, this is someone I've re-engaged with and has given me positive back. And, that positive is an abundance. There was not once when we were out did I feel like we didn't need to pay for anything. We were all we'd go to the bar and buy, we'd look at the table and what was not on the table, because everyone was pretty much, we just bought a couple of gins, a couple of beers and a couple of shots, and people were just doing that. The table was just full with beers and people were just grabbing them and drinking them. It was just a really relaxed, the whole weekend was relaxed, we got a kebab and we all chipped in, gave him sent him straight money because we just, you just do a straight transfer on your app. And it was just smooth, fluid, relaxing, felt like home, it really was nice and rewarding. And to come back and him re-engage with me, and it just, I know he won't be one of these people that I talk to weekly, monthly, but when I do talk to him, it will be a valued conversation, and it's a lot of positivity and there's a lot of care in it. And we have those levels of friends, don't we? But yeah, it was just a rewarding time. But at the same time, to caveat all the little mental health episodes I've gone through, I'm acknowledging that I've gone through that battle, and I'm here. Still got the husky voice, still got the burning legs from dancing, but I'm here. And I enjoyed it, and that was so something quite special, really. So, been an interesting one, And even when I thought, I'd get a bit down from the alcohol, because I get a bit down, and it does affect my antidepressants. Just to analyse everything, and still, I walked into my room. I missed my family. I had a massive conversation with my daughter and reinforced how I felt I've let her down as a dad over the years, and I want to build that back up to the point where today, we spent the day, we had a family day. She's gone and stayed with a friend for a couple of hours. We've been out for a meal. I did Ellie's GCSE art project with her, which was absolutely fantastic, all to do with melting crayons into the shape of a flower. And I'm going to put it on actually as the screensaver for this, because super proud of what we achieved, me and Ellie. And it was nice to do something father and daughter, because I haven't been that nice person. But all these little baby steps that I'm making, and yes, like I said, I let someone down on the last time I went out, can be perceived as he'll go out with them and won't go out with me, which I hope it isn't perceived like that by the person, but I can see how it is, because I haven't been out before, and then I'm showing pictures of me smiling on my Facebook, and he's on it, and I get that, and he's probably thinking, well, why does he keep fucking chinning me off? And I don't mean it like that, and I know Andrew will probably think like that, because I probably would as well, because I haven't re-engaged with him. So I'm conscious, but I don't want to miss these memories, because as selfish as this is going to sound, this is about me rebuilding myself. So when I deal with a hiccup, I will make that hiccup right, but it's going to take time for me, because I don't know how I'm going to feel. So I need to make sure. It's like a process of elimination, really. It is almost like mind games with yourself when you've got mental health problems. And I've gone, okay, well, I've done that. I've experienced a fucking wealth of anxiety, and, there was no sadness because there was so much happiness going on. But the anxiety attacks were just crazy. So I've learned stuff about myself. So I'm pretty conscious about that. And I'm also conscious, even just talking just then, reflecting how that's probably perceived, because I put photos up and he normally likes my stuff and I normally like his. That's how we do, because we both know we've got mental health things. But I'll have to send him a personal message. It's such a balancing act, isn't it? With friends. I'm doing it from a selfish perspective because this was a big challenge for me, and I felt like I was my old self this weekend. I felt good. It went smoothly. There was lots of fun and banter, and no one was hurt. So, and we battled a lot of stuff along the way. So from a selfish perspective, I've grown with that. I've re-engaged with a friend. So there's a lot of positivity about that. But it's a delicate game with friendship, isn't it? It's delicate because now I can already see why that's probably been perceived like that. And I hope it isn't. I need to rectify that. I don't know how I'm going to rectify that, but I'll make him so that he suppose that he understands that this is a rebuild process. I need to get stronger. Yeah, I'm conscious about that. And here we are. We're into a new week. So, Bank Holiday Monday. It is for me doing the podcast. Probably not when you're listening, potentially. But yeah, for me, Bank Holiday Monday is another day off. So I've had an extra day, which was such needed thing. So I've just chilled out, watched a bit of snooker, and just really enjoyed jumping on and talking to you. So tomorrow will be the Motivational Minute and rolling back in with the podcast. And apart from this, I've got some interesting stuff, actually. And I was talking with my wife, and she brought me up with a couple of topics with her own little situations. And it's crazy, just re-engaging with my wife on a whole new conscious level. I don't know, it's a weird experience, but I walked in yesterday, actually, and I must end with a bit of a positive note, actually, although this has been positive. I left and I came home, and for the first time, and I don't mean it's the first time because it's never been the first time, but I walked through the door and I felt a deep love for my wife. I sort of looked at her and went, wow, you look stunning. You've been amazing. And, I went to bed and we had a little conversation in bed. And I was telling her, I just said, I'm so proud of, she's battled all of this anxiety with me recently. She's battling the ups and downs and the shouting escapades. And we deal with those, me flying off the handle all the fucking time. But we talk about these things. And the more we talk about these, the more we're open about things, the more we are becoming, closer. And it's really, really, really refreshing. So yeah, it was a positive spin on it. And she even saw the happiness. She was like, "You've had a good weekend. I can see you're dying inside, which is oozing out of your eyes and pissing out your breath because I stank of booze." So she could see that. So she allowed me just to relax. And she knew that today I took her out for a meal just to say thank you. For allowing me to go out and have a good time. So I took her out for a meal so she didn't have to cook. And it was nice. It was really rewarding. We came back in and, I've had a good day with the children. And, a little bit of snooker. So, yeah, it's good stuff. And the more we were talking, that's the way I was going with that. The more we're talking, the more she's engaging with me about her mental health things. And we were talking about friends, actually. Because, but I'm not going to go into it, actually. No, wait, stop there, James. But yes, so I'll great. It's good. So you can see I'm already wanting to talk another hour with you. I'm so excited. So yeah, good times. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a pleasurable time, fun time, whenever you're listening to this after this. And I look forward to talking to you more. So thanks for listening. Take care.